Welcome to Hood Champion Boxing and Sports. In boxing, you find a way to win or you find a way to lose. So people, look, a lot of people are upset right now. Excuse me for drinking that water, I'm thirsty. Man, so many people are pissed off right now. With all this news going on with Kinahan. This Kinahan guy's name just keeps coming up, man. And people are frustrated because, look, there's still a cloud has been casted over the Spence-Crawford fight already. Already, man. Ridiculous, man. You know, so you got to understand with Haymon and his concerns. As far as Kinahan, top rank, Crawford, okay? Now, my understanding is Crawford had nothing to do with this Kinahan guy, right? But at the end of the day, you got to understand Haymon's position, because essentially he allowed his fighter Deontay Wilder to go into 3 fights with Tyson Fury, someone who, doesn't matter if you're a Wilder fan, Fury fan, we're just talking facts right now. To allow Wilder to go into a fight with someone who has mob boss ties and is affiliated with boxing. Someone who's been on a holiday with this mob boss, okay? And the same mob boss, whether it's $5 million, I'm going to just call it a bounty on his head. And as a result, this guy can't come back to the States. And these athletes and people who have been involved with him, they can't come to the States as well, okay? So you got to understand Haymon, who he really likes to protect his fighters. And he's got to feel a sense of responsibility, whereas there's so much controversy that surrounded, I'm going to say all 3 fights, okay? I personally think the 3rd fight, Tyson Fury just showed what he's about. The first 2 fights, whatever. But the 3rd fight, it is what it is. But there's still a lot of people who will argue that the first fight was controversial, the second fight was controversial, and the 3rd fight with Fury and Wilder were controversial, right? I'm not saying that. What I'm telling you is there are people out there who will argue tooth and nail. They strongly believe that. And when you listen to these people, if you don't have any background on the first 3 fights, if you're not someone who's a black and white person, and I'm not talking about Michael Jackson, right? I'm talking about someone who's like, look, prove it. Where's the proof? Okay? If you show me that, we can go from here, I'll hear you out. But if you can't show me any proof, get out my face. I'm a black and white guy. I'm an explicit type person. Always been that way. It's helped me a lot, but it's hurt me a lot because I don't deal with the gray area. But obviously there's some gray here, okay? But with Haymon, he's trying to clear up whatever ambiguity that may still exist. And he wants to make sure that that's cleared up going to this fight with Spence and Crawford. Because I think he feels a sense of responsibility for what happened with Deontay Wilder. Look, and when I say what happened to Deontay Wilder, what I mean is for Deontay Wilder to feel till this day, that there was foul play that took place in the first fight, foul play in the second fight, and in the 3rd fight, there was still some foul play. Now, and as a result, Deontay Wilder said he will never, ever make amends with Tyson Fury. Now, whether you believe there was foul play or not in those 3 fights, put yourself in Haymon's position. So now you got a guy, Terrence Crawford, who was over there with Top Rank, right? Bob Arum. Bob Arum was paying consultation fees to Kinahan. Hey, don't seem like there's anything wrong with that, right? To pay somebody consultation fees. I don't think there's anything wrong with paying someone consultation fees. I mean, Makes you wonder a little bit when he's paying consultation fees to this guy who's involved. His affiliation with the mob has been responsible for hundreds of murders in Ireland. A guy like that can have some influence, okay? I'm not saying that that's the case, because shit, I don't know. But I'm a common sense man, and I'm just saying it would make me wonder. So Crawford's kind of been, he didn't really jump ship from Top Rank. They kind of kicked his ass off of there. And then he just decided to kind of go with the kick. And so he kind of, they kicked him, they were kicking him off, and he jumped at the same time. So it is what it is, right? But Crawford, probably pound for pound, the best boxer today, right? Some would argue, other people, but probably 75% of people say Crawford is pound for pound the best boxer out at this moment, okay? But look, he's coming over now. The fight's there, man. The announcement's imminent. But people are frustrated because they're like, well, damn, is Al Haymon going to pull the plug on this? He wanted all these reassurances. I mean, I'm talking very, very exhausting negotiations, very, very exhausting legwork that had to be done to make sure there was no kind of inextricable connection or any kind of loose connection between Crawford and Kinahan. Crawford and making sure that Crawford isn't a vessel to somehow still get money back to this Kinahan guy. Because let me tell you, do you think boxing's corrupt? I'm just asking a question, right? Do you think boxing's corrupt? All right. So if you said you don't think boxing is corrupt, go and jump off a building, right? For those of you, be fair, man. Say, yeah, boxing is corrupt. Doesn't mean there was any foul play that took place between Wilder Fury and this Kinahan guy, right? Doesn't mean that. Maybe it did. But if boxing is corrupt and there was some kind of influence over those Wilder and Fury fights, could Terrence Crawford, could there be a chance of there being some kind of influence there? Whether Terrence Crawford knows about it or doesn't. Now, is there a chance that a guy like Kinahan, with the position he was in, could have influenced judges? So with Crawford going into this fight with Spence, is there still a way that maybe a guy like Kinahan can sit back out there in Saudi and just kind of bounce around and fly underneath the radar and have other people who the U.S. Treasury Department haven't even picked up on, have them somehow insert themselves into the equation to make certain things happen. Now, I'm not saying that would happen. It actually wouldn't make sense because Crawford's not part of top rank. But with corruption, what I'm doing is trying to paint a picture to see Al Haymon brainstorming. Because he's looking at all the worst case scenarios. And he wants to exhaust all of those to ensure that all boxes have been checked to ensure fair play for his fighter, the safety for his fighter. And I think that's right for him to do it. He's not going to let Spence go into a situation. And Crawford just doesn't strike me as the kind of guy to do nothing foul. But you just don't know. And you have to have a certain amount of reassurance. Because Haymon takes a lot of blame for what happened with Deontay Wilder. Deontay Wilder said something, right? And I listened to him when he said it. Now, I could filter through the BS. I'll have fun with some of these topics sometimes. But I listened to Deontay Wilder. He said that there are many people who know for a fact that Tyson Fury cheated. but he's very careful on what he says. It's almost like he's afraid to go any further with his accusations about Fury, right? Almost, and now to me, now I don't know this, all right? So don't come now to my, you don't know what you're talking about. But when I listen to Deontay Wilder, when I think about that statement he made, and then he stopped talking about it, it almost sounds to me like that was him, or like a runoff from the conversation he may have had with Haymon, where they're sitting there talking about the cheating, the accusations, the allegations, right? And Haymon believes there's foul play too. But they don't want it to go outside of the circle. But Deontay Wilder is so frustrated with what happened that when the microphone gets put in front of him, he can't contain himself. So it's like a pressure cooker, and just that little bit of steam coming out. That's his way to kind of vent a little bit. But he can't just come and boom in the almost cuss. The whole lid blows off the damn pot. You know, he can't do that. So he has to contain himself and just and allow it to release just a little bit, so he can function. Because if Deontay Wilder went out there and said everything that, if he disclosed all the conversations he's had with people, that lid would blow off. And then it'd be a hornet's nest. It already kind of is. But he would exacerbate that topic again. So just with that being said, understanding Haymon and the conversations he's probably had with Wilder, better believe he and Wilder have talked. Sam Watson have talked. There have been conversations, but Haymon's not stupid. But if he's had those conversations and he believes there was foul play with his heavyweight champion, which he does not have anymore, right? Haymon doesn't have a heavyweight champion over there no more. He's not going to let Spence go into something with a guy who's coming from an outfit where there's suspected foul play and there's a known connection to a mob boss. What he's going to do is say, you know what? I'm going to look out for Crawford as well, because Haymon wants Crawford. But he's going to look out for Crawford as well and say, hey, I'm going to do you a favor as well. And I'm going to clear your name of all this crap too, because that's what the media does. That's what people do. They want to create storylines. So when you look at how there's been so many ups and downs as far as negotiations, the fight is going to happen, it's not going to happen, right? Now it makes sense. And what Haymon is doing, he's making a management decision. He's showing leadership. And a lot of times, those decisions that you make when you're sitting there at that strategic level of leadership, they're unpopular. So Haymon has made an unpopular decision to prolong negotiations to ensure there's no BS going on with this Kinahan guy, and to ensure Crawford's name is in the clear, and no matter who wins or who loses, there shouldn't be any rumors of foul play. They're on a level playing field, the right people are getting money, and there should be no complaints. Going to the rematch, everyone agrees on those terms, see how that goes, and then it is what it is at that time, so we can sit there, man, and cement who's the really best guy at 147. And I commend Al Haymon for doing that. But I'm letting you know right now, for the people who are so frustrated with Al Haymon saying, oh, he's afraid for Spence. He knows Spence can't win the fight. I'm going to say this right now. I've said it in other videos. I'm going to keep it short, right? Spence and Crawford is 50-50. It's just a matter of you picking what style you like, okay? So for me, it's 50-50. But I think Crawford at some point may catch Spence, because Crawford fights with his eyes. He's going to see those openings. But the problem is, when he goes to counter, Spence doesn't throw one or two punches. he lets his hands go. So he may see that opening and go to let it go, and then Spence still has punches coming. So it's really, it's hard to pick a winner in this fight. But I'm saying it's 50-50. But if you tell me I'm going to chop off your pinky toe if you don't pick a fighter, pick who you think's going to win, then I'm going to say I think Crawford. But if no one's going to chop off my pinky toe, I'm not going to pick a winner. It's like, I don't know. 50-50, anyone can win. That's just being real. But if you want to chop off my pinky toe, then I would say, man, life or death situation, you're going to kill me, right? I'll pick Crawford, right? It forced me to pick someone. But I could sit here and argue that Spence would win. And I could sit there and intelligently speak on what Spence does so great and how he can blunt everything Crawford does that would earn Spence the victory. And I could do the same thing for Crawford. That's just how evenly matched they are. They both do everything great. The one thing I will say when it comes to Spence and Crawford, and I'm going to be looking for this, if Spence can use those elbows like he does in a fight, he could blunt Terrence Crawford's ability to counter him. If you haven't been watching, if you don't watch Spence, or you don't, like somebody put a comment in there about, oh, I can tell you never box, man. Yeah, sure. Because we see him do these videos, man, you can tell I never box, right? The person who said that is probably a guy who gets out the shower to take a piss, okay? It doesn't matter what I haven't done, but I tell you what, like majority of people on here, it doesn't even matter, man. But don't be a clown. All right? Matter of fact, I'm not even gonna pull it out, man. It agitated me so much, man. I almost pulled out some of my damn hardware. But I'm not worried about that, man. But when it comes to these two guys, it's really tough to pick somebody. But I can't blame Al Haymon. But we should be getting the announcement soon. But don't be surprised if Al Haymon. It's just so frustrating, man. Cut that man some slack. Even people out here, like I always say that Al Haymon is slippery, right? It's a fact, man. He's skirting the Muhammad Ali Act, okay? I'm not knocking him for it. What I'm telling you is genius. And these other promoters and these other people in boxing, they hate him for that. Some people say they hate him for a different reason. I don't know. But I know that he's smart. This man, Harvard grad, man. You know what I'm saying? So there got to be a little bit of brain there. He was successful before he entered boxing. So there's got to be a little brain there. Someone who understands contracts, understands laws. He can look at that, interpret it, and he was able to figure out, okay, this is what they're telling me I can't do. Okay, but they're not telling me that I can't do this. And I'm just going to flip this to where I'm doing both things, but I'm just going to call myself an advisor. Al Haymon is smart. So you gotta respect a man like that. And with someone who has that kind of brain, who's a thinker, when he takes a loss like he took, and I'm going to call those 3 fights between Wilder and Fury, I'm going to call those losses for Al Haymon. Not just for Wilder and his record, but for Al Haymon and Al Haymon's company. Okay? Deontay Wilder having that WBC belt was a big deal. Now it's gone. Okay? And Wilder took some damage in those fights. So basically, as a result of Al Haymon just knowing how he feels about his fighters and how proud he is to be their advisor, Al Haymon, I'm sure he feels like he failed Deontay Wilder. And if he would have been on his A game, which is impossible for him to know, man. But I just could tell by the way he's handling the Spence and Crawford situation that he's like, you know what? If I could have handled that situation with Deontay Wilder a little differently, he could have ended up in a different position. Even if Deontay Wilder would have lost, maybe he wouldn't have taken the punishment he took. There could have been less damage on my champion. Even if he loses, but it could have been less damage. And Al Haymon is watching Spence, and he's watching this Crawford stuff, and he's like, nah, I can't let that happen to any more of my fighters. He doesn't want to lose all those belts. He doesn't want to lose it. And he's like, if we do lose it, let it be fair. But he's advising correctly, man, and I'm glad to have a guy like him there. But there are a lot of people who are frustrated right now, and they're like, Haymon is just afraid. Spence is gonna get knocked out. Crawford's the better fighter. Look, that's not the situation here. You got a smart, intelligent man who's gonna make sure he's taking care of business. These guys pay him to advise, and he's advising, and he's making sure T's are crossed, I's are dotted, and that's how it's supposed to be. But I am really excited. I'm not even excited, man, but I'm really, I really can't wait for them to sort out what the hell the deal is, this Kinahan guy, and start peeling the layers back, because his name just keeps coming up. His name just keeps coming up, man. And like his involvement with boxing is like deeply embedded, man. Some people are saying he's still out there, man, getting paid just based on those kind of behind the scenes connections that he has. And he's still somehow getting paid off of boxing, which I wouldn't be surprised, because everything's corrupt and money runs the world, man. But that being said, we're going to leave it as that, man. But that's really what's going on with Al Haymon, man. He's really looking to protect Earl Spence from any BS. But he's also, at the same time, wanting to make sure, when it comes to Terrence Crawford, that, hey, everyone knows he has nothing to do with that. And this is what you need to do. This is what you need to do, man. You kind of look out for both guys. Because I'll tell you what, you ever seen a person on a hot seat sweating in an ice cold interrogation room? And you're wondering, how the hell is this person in here perspiring when it's ice cold? That's what you got. That's what you got going on right now with this whole negotiation. It's like having people on a hot seat perspiring in an ice cold interrogation room with that black light swinging overhead. That's what this is. A lot of people are nervous. A lot of people are sitting down that hot seat right now, because the type of questions and the type of probing that Haymon is doing, or has been doing for a while now, into this Kinahan stuff, into these people who are going to be involved with this fight between Crawford and Spence. He's on it, man. Judges, referees, sanctioning bodies, the people behind the scenes, anybody administering any kind of urinalysis, random drug testing. Al Haymon is on all of it. And it's good, because he's looking out for Crawford too, but really, as he's taking care of his fighter. It's basically like, you see those videos people are posting where they're staging crap, where a guy will have a child with a female, and she'll have another child by another guy, and he goes there to drop off something for his child to eat, but but she'll be there with the other child, and it's like, you didn't bring nothing for this one. He's like, that's not my child. And he gives McDonald's to the kid. Now, that's hilarious to me, because a lot of it is just fake stuff, right? But what you're seeing in Al Haymon is he's the guy who's like, you know what? That's not my child, but I'm going to come and make sure that I take care of that one too, And and he's doing that because, as a result, his child benefits by knowing that, his sibling is okay. And that's what's happening here. Al Haymon could have just been all about Spence, but he's making sure he's looking out for both of them. By doing so, Spence's opponent is okay, and there shouldn't be an issue with the fight. And as a result, his guy can get paid, and there shouldn't be any issues. It should get a fair fight. So respect to Al Haymon for that. But that being said, I know people are going to have comments about this. Leave them below. But try to understand Al Haymon's position, and what would you do? Like that damn that show that comes on. What would you do? What would you do? Seriously, if you had something like this happen with the whole Fury Wilder and all that crap that's been going on and still going on, and you got a fight going on with somebody who came from that organization, and you have the means to make sure you cross all T's and dot I's. You're going to do what Al Haymon's doing. He's sanitizing that entire negotiation, that entire process. Everyone's involved. He's coming to sanitize them, man. Like, it's like somebody spreading monkeypox or COVID, man. He's going to come through and do his best to prevent any of that crap from spreading and affecting any of his fighters. and their opponents, and I respect them for that. But that being said, y'all keep cool. I appreciate the support. Please subscribe if you watch this video, and as always, I'm in the breeze.